Hi students. Last time we saw the lesson The Happy Prince until the swallow helping the seamstress, poor seamstress. In order to help the poor seamstress, the swallow passed by the cathedral tower where the white marble angels were sculptured, were attached, were made. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover. I hope, she says, I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball, for the dance, for the function. She said, I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstresses are so lazy. Why the author has put this statement here? In order to show the indifference between poor and rich. In fact, the seamstress does her work, she neglects her ill son who demands for oranges, right? Whereas here the rich lady thinks something bad about the seamstress, calling her lazy. He passed over the river and saw the lanterns hanging on the mast. Mast means posts of the ships. So lights were hanging on the ships. At last, he came to the poor woman's house, seamstress house, and looked in. The boy was tossing feverishly. He was moving here and there without impatience on his bed, and the mother had fallen asleep. She was so tired of stitching, making embroidering the flowers. In he hopped and laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Thimble means a cap that is worn in order to protect your finger or nail while stitching, while embroidering. Then he flew. Okay, the swallow flew gently around the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. How cool I feel, said the boy. I must be getting better. And he sank into a delicious slumber, a deep and pleasant sleep. For the boy as well felt better. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. It is curious, it is strange, he remarked, but I feel quite warm now, although it is cold. Outside it is so cold, but inside I feel quite warm. Why? It is for all of you to think. The swallow, after helping the poor lady, seamstress, after returning back to Prince, he says, it is quite strange. My feeling is quite strange. I feel quite warm inside, although it is cold out there. That's because, the prince says, that's because you have done a good action, said the prince. And the little swallow began to think and then fell asleep. Thinking always made him sleepy. Look at that. The little swallow, after hearing from the prince, started thinking about it and then fell asleep. Then he slept. Poor Swallow did not think deeply about the words of the prince. Okay. When day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. Tonight I go to Egypt, said the swallow, and he was in high spirits at the prospect. In order to go and join his friends, he was in high spirits. He visited the monuments, memorial buildings, monuments, and sat a long time on the top of the church steeple. So he visited all the memorial buildings and sat there for a long time on top of the church steeple is a tower, church tower. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince to say goodbye. Have you any commissions for Egypt? Have you got any message? Should I do anything in Egypt? Any mission you have in Egypt? Any work, any task, commissions means? He asked this. I am just starting to go to Egypt. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Will you stay with me one night longer? This is the word of prince. Okay, it's a request from prince. Will you stay with me one night longer? I am waited for in Egypt, answered the swallow. My friends are waiting in Egypt, waiting for me. Okay. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Far away across the city, I see a young man in a garret. Garret is a space, unfinished room. Okay, it is an unfinished room. He is leaning over a desk covered with papers, and in the glass by his side there is a bunch of withered violets flowers. His hair is brown and crisp. Crisp means what? Sharp or curly hair. And his lips are red as a pomegranate, and he has large and dreamy eyes. So here the prince is describing the person so that the swallow identifies the person. He is trying to finish a play for the director of the theater. So he is a playwright. But he is too cold to write anymore. Too cold in his room because it is just a garret, not a complete room, half built room. So there is no fire in the grate. Garret, it is grate. Grate is a metal frame for holding fuel in the fireplace or furnace, that is called grate. So there is no fire in the grate, and hunger he has made him faint. He is so hungry that he has fainted. I will wait with you one night longer, said the swallow, who really had a good heart. Okay, swallow had a good heart. He asked if he should take another ruby to the young playwright. If he could take another ruby to the young playwrights. Alas, I have no ruby now, because the ruby was already given to the poor seamstress. Said the prince, my eyes are all that I have left. Means sapphires. They are made of rare sapphires, which were brought out of India 1,000 years ago. So look at that. Rare sapphires which were brought out of India 1,000 years ago. He ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them and take it to the playwright. He will sell it to the jeweler and buy firewood and finish his play, he said. Dear prince, said the swallow, I cannot do that. And he began to weep. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. So why the swallow said he could not do? Because he had to pluck one of his eyes. It was not that swallow denied completely of prince's command. He did not pluck out. He did not want to do that because prince would become blind. So the swallow plucked out the prince's eye and flew away to the young man's garret. It was easy enough to get in, as there was a hole in the roof. It was an unfinished room. There was hole in the roof, so it was easy for the swallow to get in. Through this, he darted and came into the room. He just flew in and came into the room. The young man had his head buried in his hands, so he did not hear the flapping of the bird's wings. And when he looked up, he found the beautiful sapphire lying on the withered violets. Withered violets means dropped violet. Petals are dropped there. Dried violets. Okay. I am beginning to be appreciated, he cried. God has shown mercy on my hard work or me. This is from some great admirer. Means this is from God who admires my work. That's what he feels. Now I can finish my play. And he looked quite happy. The playwright became quite happy. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor. He sat on the mast of a large vessel, means the ship, and watched the sailors working. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow, but nobody minded. And when the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to bid you goodbye, he cried. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, will you not stay with me one night longer? Okay, prince, having lost one of his eyes, asked the swallow to remain with him one more night. It is winter, answered the swallow, and the snow will soon be here. I cannot stay here any longer because winter is approaching. Winter is there already, and snow will fall soon. In Egypt, the sun is warm, and the green palm trees and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazily about them. So such a warm place is Egypt. So I want to go and join my friends in order to enjoy with them in Egypt. In the square below, in the open space in the town is a square. So in the square below, in the town, the open space below, said the happy prince, there stands a little match girl. She has let her matches fall in the gutter. Gutter means what? A ditch, a pit, a ditch, and they are all spoiled. They all became wet or spoiled. Matches got spoiled. So her father will beat her if she does not bring home some money. If she doesn't carry little money, her father will beat her. So she is crying there. She has no shoes or no socks. Okay, no stockings. And her little head is bare and not covered with any cap or anything. So pluck out one of my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. When he says he will not beat her when he sees any precious thing. I'll stay with you one night longer, said the swallow, but I cannot pluck I cannot pluck out your eye. You would be quite blind then. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Do as I command you. So he plucked out the prince's other eye and flew down with it. He flew suddenly past the match girl, above the match girl, and slipped the sapphire into the palm of her hand, into the palm of the match girl's hand. What a lovely bit of glass, cried the match girl, and she ran home laughing. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said, so I will stay with you always. No, little swallow, said the poor prince, you must go away to Egypt now. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow, and he slept at the prince's feet. Earlier, the swallow wanted to go, and now, after the prince losing both of his eyes, the swallow had pity on the happy prince, and he decided to stay back. Look at the bond or love that the swallow had towards the happy prince. So the rest can be seen on our next class. Until then, you read the lesson. If you have doubt, let me know. Thank you.